So did you catch Trump's recent history lesson? Yeah, he had a lot to say about the history of birthright citizenship, because the Supreme Court has just agreed to hear a case on whether or not he can abolish birthright citizenship with an executive order.
That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery.
Okay, before we get to the slavery claim, let's be clear. Birthright citizenship is not the result of a case. It is in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which was ratified in 1868.
That case is all about slavery.
Actually, the 14th Amendment is not about slavery. It's about the absence of slavery, which was abolished in 1865. The primary goal of the people who wrote the 14th Amendment was to establish in crystal clear language that the people who were formerly enslaved were now U.S. citizens, who were entitled to equal protection of the laws. But those authors had another, broader goal, which was to establish a definition of U.S. citizenship. Up to that point, there was no definition of U.S. citizenship. So they created the broadest definition possible. That's why the opening lines of the 14th Amendment, where birthright citizenship is established, are broad terms. They read, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws thereof are citizens of the United States." All persons, not just formerly enslaved people.
For some reason, lawyers don't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, they don't talk about it because it's totally made up.
That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're citizenship. They're a citizen.
Well, tourists touching sand. Yeah, tourists are not eligible for birthright citizenship because they're not born in the United States. That's why they're tourists. But please, continue.
And even look at the dates on which it was signed. It was right at that era, right after the Civil War.
Yeah, by that same logic, you could say that the Second Amendment, because it was adopted in the aftermath of the American Revolution, was really about protecting America from foreign invasion and not a personal right to own a firearm. But I don't think he wants to go there, right? Anything else you want to share about birthright citizenship?
They use it now instead, not for slavery.
Yeah, no one's using it for slavery now because slavery was abolished 160 years ago.
They use it for people that come into our country and they walk in and all of a sudden they become citizens and they pay a lot of money to different cartels and others.
Yeah, just like the tourist thing. If you are born in the U.S., you have birthright citizenship. You don't need to pay a cartel or anybody to get you in here. Well, there you have it. From the guy whose administration is waging war on the honest and accurate teaching of U.S. history. And yes, in case you're wondering, this means Donald Trump has been nominated for yet another 2025 Weemsy Award. You can learn all about these awards at weemsyawards.com.